So guys, how are you feeling today? I need a loud woo from the audience. That's how I like it. So in the world of storytelling, we do this small thing. We snap, which means whenever we appreciate something the speaker is saying, we can relate to something the speaker is saying, we snap. Can we all do a round of snapping? Okay, so keep that in mind, right? Not too long ago, December of 2016, I felt unfulfilled. I felt like I had dreamt too much and had achieved too little. I had walked out of my office, told my boss I'm quitting my job because this wasn't my place to be. Not too long after, 30 minutes to be precise, I realized I needed that job because who will pay my rent in Bombay? But I found myself sitting in a tiny cafe, sipping on some water, scribbling a plan that was about to change my life forever. Let's start a website where people send us their personal stories, audios, and let's publish them for the world to listen. How simple. I met my cousin that very day, my engineer cousin, who asked me questions I did and did not have answers to, and after 4 hours of hogging pizza and some intense conversation, he said, I'll build the website. We decided to call it StoryWeb. But that domain name was available for 6 lakh rupees only, so we settled on calling it Tape a Tale. From then on, while he worked on the website, my job was to curate the first 30 stories that would go up on it. I have 3,000 Facebook friends. How hard could it possibly be for me to get 30 of them to share stories from their personal lives? The answer is really very hard. I think I definitely lost a few friends in that process. Several ignored messages and many meltdowns later, I did not manage to reach the target of 30 stories. I managed 18. Something happened in that process, though. Something that made me feel an emotion I hadn't experienced before. Up until now, if you asked me, why stories? I'd say because I'm liking the process of building something on my own. I love stories, both listening and telling, so this seems like the right path to take. But while curating stories and asking my friends to recommend people who'd want to share stories from their lives, one story came my way. It was a story about a girl who'd been domestically abused by her husband 2 weeks into their marriage. She'd been struggling to get a divorce for the past 2 years, and she'd very recently managed to get one. She recorded her story and she sent it to me. I replied saying, thank you. And she responded saying, can I call you? I'd never met this girl. I did not know who she was, where she came from, but we got on a call. And she said, thank you, Kopal. I was a little taken aback. Why is she the one thanking me? Isn't she the one helping me reach my target of 30 stories? She said, Kopal, I've struggled for the past 2 years. I've struggled to find some kind of closure, to realize that there is life beyond my misery. The last 2 days of writing and recording my story have given me the kind of closure nothing ever has. Hers wasn't the first story that had impacted me as a listener, but hers was the first story that made me realize the impact it can have on the teller. From that day, these stories weren't just numbers for me. These stories were living, breathing entities that needed to be heard. I'd like to imagine each human life as the sum total of stories they have lived. Like, imagine a puzzle and all the different pieces that make up a puzzle. Each different size, different types, different colors, but each equally important to make it a whole, to make it complete. By this time, I had rejoined my office and I'd work on Tape a Tale whenever I wasn't working for my boss. We launched the website on 30th of March 2016. 2017. And on 1st April 2017, I was fired from my job. My boss gave me two options, whether to let go of Tapertail or to let go of my job. And before I could tell her I'd be choosing the latter, she had already asked me to leave. Tapertail was 1 day old, and I was jobless, full of anxiety and so nervous about what lies ahead. We had some 40 users on the website, out of which 3 were me because I kept logging from different devices to check the website. I had a master's degree. I had left New York to follow my dreams in India. And I was putting way too much pressure on myself, wondering if I'd ever be able to live a comfortable life following my dreams. I started applying for jobs immediately. But I kept wondering, if I don't take this plunge now, when will I ever be able to do it? I had this project that meant something to me. I wasn't deeply attached to it. I wasn't too passionate about it. But I was thoroughly enjoying the process of putting all the blocks together. Should I have taken the leap of faith? It's too late for you guys to answer now because I already made my decision. I decided to take up some freelance work to pay my bills while I continued to work on Tapertail. Now, before I start talking about this new beginning of mine, I'd like to say something. I feel like we make these leaps of faith sound very romantic. But I'd like to admit, I'm privileged. I had savings from my previous job, I have a very strong support system, and I am the kind of person who always sees the glass as half full. Not everyone stands where I stood, and not everyone can stand where I stood. So I think we must be careful when we talk about flowery words like following your dreams and leap of faith and dreams and passion, because everyone is on their own journey. And I sincerely hope everyone finds what they're seeking, because it feels so great. I had made this new beginning, but beginnings also mean change, and change is not always easy. While my friends with regular jobs thought I was the CEO, I was spending my days struggling between 2 part-time jobs in a startup that made me no money. While online publications interviewed me like I was onto something big, I was spending my days working on my living room couch because going to a cafe meant spending 300 rupees on a cold sandwich. While I was still the person who saw the glass as half full, I had nightmares about never being able to travel again because I'll always have too much work or too many responsibilities. I wouldn't lie to you. It's not easy to just get up one day and follow your dreams. But remember how December 2016 I felt unfulfilled? I also felt secure. I felt comfortable. I traveled every weekend and I did not feel anxious. December 2017, I felt fulfilled. And that was enough. Tapertail grew on me. It was a baby I had decided to bring to this world, but it taught me more about life, growth, humility, humanity, relationships, myself, and maths. More than 25 years of my existence combined. When a project becomes a passion, you just know it. It envelopes your life in a way nothing ever has. You wake up wanting to work and you sleep wanting to wake up. There are more bad days than good days, but for some reason, that seems okay. That seems worth it. My job is to listen to stories. Apart from everything else it takes to run a business, the core of my job is to listen to stories. Back then, it was mostly to ask people to send me their stories, but today, it is to listen to the thousands of people who want to be heard. On most days, I find myself sitting on my couch with my earphones on, listening to an audio that would make me laugh, cry, smile, or simply feel connected. That's what stories do. They make you feel connected. They make you feel like you're not alone. Like there's someone sitting in some part of the world who knows exactly what I am feeling right now. Slowly and slowly, more and more people started resonating with the idea and the stories. We started doing live shows, we started uploading videos. I still remember screaming with excitement when I woke up to a story reaching 1,500 people. It was a milestone. It was a moment I will always cherish. Every day, so many people shared their lives with me, and I cannot tell you the number of times somebody has walked up to me and told me, this story changed my life. Kopal, I needed to say that out loud. I'm often asked, how do I get people to share the most personal corners of their lives with me? And the answer is, I do nothing. In this world where nobody is talking about things that truly matter, everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to feel real, and I cannot emphasize how important it is for each of us to listen more, to be people who others can rely on, can talk to. I wish I could reach out to every single person in this world and tell them that their stories matter, but I can't. So why don't we all realize that the person sitting next to you is on a journey too? Be kind enough to acknowledge it, and be graceful enough to respect it. A small gesture, a little conversation can change a life. Trust me, I've seen it happen right in front of my eyes. So be that person who makes that gesture. I met this girl in Jalandhar a few months ago when I was touring with TEDxGLIMChennai. She walked up to me after a show and she told me that she had traveled 300 kilometers to be there that night. And she had traveled all the way just to tell me one thing, that she was going through one of the darkest phases of her lives when she heard a story I had narrated on TEDxGLIMChennai. After listening to the story, she suddenly wanted to follow her dreams. The story gave her hope. It made her feel like there was light at the end of this long, dark tunnel. And she was there that night just to tell me that whenever she fulfills that dream of hers, she will come and meet me again, no matter which part of the world I am in. That's her promise. That moment probably meant a lot to her, but I cannot stop thinking about it myself. One small story, a single story, can change a life, can save a life. Can you imagine the amount of power that's vested in each and every one of us sitting in this room? Can you imagine how much our words matter? We are powerful. We matter, and we can make a difference. Today, I've been working on TEDxGLIMChennai full-time for 10 months. I think I feel fulfilled. The stories reach out to lakhs and millions of people, and I have 1 million people who have subscribed to listen to these stories every week. But what truly matters to me is that one teardrop or that one smile that made someone, somewhere, feel something. I took my leap of faith and marked my new beginning when I decided to follow my curiosity 2 years ago. And it has set me on an adventure of a lifetime. An adventure I wouldn't alter for anything. Absolutely nothing. Thank you.